now our attention turns to the longest event on the track for men, the 10,000 meters.
Yes, you can see the statistics there. A championship record which has stood since 1978 of 27:30.99 to the Finn Martti Vainio. Well, that's faster than anybody in Europe has actually run this year. And in a championship setting, I really don't think it's going to be challenged. There's the man who is the fastest man in Europe this year, Richard Ringer. But there's 32 men on the start line. Ringer reduced his personal best at the European 10,000 metres Cup in London in May. Well, there's the man who finished just behind him in that event, Morhad Amdouni. But it's a very, very packed field. 10 men under 28 minutes this year amongst the Europeans, so no obvious favourites, perhaps. The Germans would certainly be raising the roof for Ringer. Abdel Michel, the Spaniard. He was the European indoor 3,000 metre runner, and then the defending champion, Polak Kemboy Arikan, not running as well as he has been in recent years. Sofiane Bouchichi, the Belgian, who's moved up from predominantly running over 5,000 metres. Bouchichi third on this year's 10,000 metre list with 27:41.20. But a very packed field. We'll take you through some of the other personalities in this race as it unwinds over the next 25 laps. Two echelons. Over the course of the last half an hour, the temperature has dropped to a quite pleasant level, and the sun's dropped down behind the stadium as well. Dusk is starting to fall on Berlin. Still quite warm. It's still going to be a hot and sticky 10,000 metres for these runners.
While they just sort themselves out, just a note to say 32 runners. There's been a fair bit of criticism of both that, both in 10,000 and the 5,000, without any heats. Years ago, we always used to have heats if there were that many, and it's a lot of athletes to get in each other's way. Let's hope there isn't any incidents and falls and problems.
Yes, I'm sure we'll be tackling the issue over the 5,000 metres later on in the championships. Personally, I'm less concerned about running the 10,000 as a straight final, but certainly I would endorse the criticisms of running the 5,000 as a straight final. 31 entries for the 5,000 later on in the week. Of course, it does facilitate people like Ringer who might have ambitions of a double.
And just looking there, they've stretched out over 50 metres almost along that home straight.
Well, the Spaniards have taken the lead and set a fairly decent pace, 68 seconds for the first 400.
Yes, running fairly comfortably. We've got Perez and behind him Mechal. Perez, 3 times second in the European Cup 10,000 metres, Juan Antonio Perez.
And with the gold vest, we've got Ali Khan, because of course he's twice been the champion, both in 2012 and in 2016.
One man to, I think, look out for, or at least keep an eye on, is the Frenchman Florian Carvalho, who set a personal best earlier this year of 28:06.78. Now, Carvalho has won medals at 1,500 metres in these championships, albeit a couple of years ago. Still only 29 years of age, and I think he's probably got quite a bit of speed still left in his legs, even though he's moving up distance. And of course, he has a very storied career at the Spa European Cross Country Championships, winning both medals at under 20, under 23 level and in the French team.
Of course, this event without the great Mo Farah now, who's moved away from track running. The top British runner, in fact, Andy Vernon, quite a distinctive figure. He's pretty much halfway down this lineup. He's accompanied by promising youngster in Alex Lee and also with Chris Thompson, who was a major contender with Farah way back in their junior days.
Yes, Vernon medals at both 5,000 and 10,000 metres behind Farah in 2014. Chris Thompson, well, has gone under 28 minutes this year. He's one of those 10 who have. Now 37 years of age, the oldest man in this field. Well, at the moment they're running outside 30-minute pace. They're just coming up for the first kilometre checkpoint. So fairly pedestrian after that first 30-20 unofficially. Yeah. Yes, the 1 kilometre split, 2:47.28, a bit faster than I said. So that will bring them round in around 28-minute pace. So we've got the Turks at the front, Arakan and Kaya. And coming up, Mechal, the taller of the Spaniards. So fairly steady pace at this stage. Bucici covering every move at the moment. We've also got in there the reigning European cross-country champion from last December, Kaan Keegan Osbalan, so 3 good Turks in the field. Side-on shot in the middle of your screen, Carvalho. So, 2 kilometres passed in 5:37.03, 20 laps still to go in this, the men's 10,000 metres.
So just under 2:50 for the second kilometre, so slightly slower than the first.
So back on the track then, still everybody in one long echelon covering around 30 metres, led by Kaan Keegan Osbalan. Arakan also up there. Some of the runners now already starting to take refreshment. You can see there Bashir Abdi of Belgium and Florian Carvalho.
I mentioned Mo Farah earlier. Bashir Abdi has been training with Mo Farah in St. Moritz just the last week or two, and apparently he's going well. We'll see.
And there is Julian Wonders, who is a very interesting athlete as well. The Swiss trains and lives out in Kenya for 6 months of the year.
Well, the pace continues to be pushed by the Turkish athletes Kaan Keegan Osbalan and Polat Kemboy Arakan at the front of the men's 10,000 metres. They've just gone through 4,000 metres in 11:18.74. Starting to see a few men drift off the back. There's about 11 men now separated from the rest of the group.
Pace, in fact, Phil, is very steady. They reached 3K in 8:27.88, so a 2:50.8, and then that last kilometre up to 4K, as you mentioned, 2:50.9. So very steady pace throughout the whole race.
Yes, although at this pace, as I say, with 10 men having run under 28 minutes this year, it's well within the capabilities of the 2 Turks, Sofiane Bucici from Belgium. There's Amdouni of France in 4th place at the moment, 2nd fastest European. Spaniards easy to spot, the very taller figure of Adel Mechal, and behind him Juan Antonio Perez. And then in 7th at the moment, home crowd favourite Robert Ringer. Well, Osbalan is looking around, trying to get some help. So well, halfway point was reached in 14:08.93, so just outside 28-minute pace. It'll speed up, no doubt, over the course of the final few kilometres, but that's pretty decent pace for a European Championship. And there's a lead group now that's slimmed down to 9 men. Osbalan was looking around, trying to see whether Bucici would take up some of the running. There's Richard Ringer, fastest man in Europe this year, just taking on some refreshment. Say temperatures have cooled a few degrees, but it's still a little bit sticky out there.
Again, this pace is pretty metronomic, isn't it? Because that last kilometre just a shade over 250 again.
So 1, 2, 3, Turkey, Belgium and France at the moment, followed by 2 Spaniards. Well, there's Richard Ringer. I'm afraid he's struggling very badly, the European 10,000 metres cup winner back in May, and Europe's fastest man over 25 laps of the track this year. 10 men at the front. There's been a bit of ebb and flow at the back of the leading group. A couple have joined it, a couple have dropped away. But it's still the 2008. Well, there's the defending champion, Arikan, out. He's not been in great form, has just squeaked under 28 minutes earlier this year. So it's going to be left to his compatriot Özbilan at the front there to fly the flag for Turkey. We also have a third Turk in there.
And one man,
Kaya.
you mentioned there's been some chopping and changing. Well, one man who's been moving his way up nicely is now in that leading pack in 11th place, Andy Vernon, former medalist.
Yes, Vernon, always a very solid runner, always a very committed runner. Now possibly has to settle for being Britain's number 2, even though Mo Farah has moved on up to the marathon behind Alexander Yee, who's running very well over 10,000 metres, 5th in the European Cup.
Yes, although he may be concentrating more on the triathlon, of course.
Indeed. But Yee is in there in about 6th place at the moment. So as they come round with 9 laps to go, 6,000 metres passed in 16:59.38. It's Özbilan at the front as he's been through much of this race. And just showing for the first time is Carvalho up on the shoulder of Özbilan. Well, Carvalho hasn't broken 28 minutes this year, but has improved, setting a personal best of 28:06.78. There's another man to drop by the wayside.
The last 4 kilometres have all been run in 250 point something.
A rather leaden-looking Richard Ringer. German hopes, I think, are dissolving in this particular event, but they've still got plenty of medal opportunities, not just tonight, but for the next 5 days here in Berlin at the 24th European Athletics Championships. Well, Ringer looking very leaden. He's decided to call it a day. That's it. Thanks the crowd, steps to one side. It's not to be a medal for him. Bitterly disappointed. It'd be interesting to see whether he feels he wants to come back and contest the 5,000 metres. He's on the entry list for that particular event, but at the sharp end. 13 men up there, as we see. Looks like Amdouni darting to the front.
Well, back than that, Phil mentioned the last kilometre. In fact, it was quite a bit slower for the first time, 2:56. And obviously, they're just waiting for someone to pick it up a little.
I think so. It'd be interesting. It was, in fact, Bashir Abdi, the Belgian, who moved to the front there, followed by Amdouni. Mechal, that's the 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Özbilan keeping a weather eye on what's going on at the front. So Abdi from Belgium has injected a bit of the pace. The man that Michelle was talking about trains with European record holder Mo Farah. Out in Kenya, come back to compete at these championships.
The runner they just lapped, unfortunately, Chris Thompson, who's not running as well as we have seen him many times in the past. In fact, he may be out.
Well, still 13 men in that leading pack as we see the stragglers around the rest of the track. We've had a few men drop out. 32 men started this race. And it's Adel Machal, a man who we know has got a good sprint finish, European indoor champion over 3,000 metres on his shoulders. Osbilan. There's one more man, I think it's from Portugal.
Yes, my apologies to Chris Thompson, actually. He's still in there just at the back of the pack, and it was the Norwegian athlete that they passed. So there are still 3 British athletes in that leading pack.
8,000 metres passed in 22:48:02 as Michel goes to the front again, and this pace has been gradually winding up over the last few laps.
Well,
looking very dangerous as well on the inside. Florian Carvalho, another man who's got a very, very good sprint finish. Just drifting away, Thompson at the back, the 13th man. Michel looking around for a bit of help. He's done a bit of work, wants to grab some water. Well, just under 1,200 metres to go in this, the 10,000 metres. The first track gold medal to be decided here on the first official day of the Berlin 2018 European Athletics Championships. There's a shot of Andy Vernon, double medalist in 2014, Florian Carvalho. There's Perez just starting to struggle a little bit. But at the front, it's still the pack being driven by Adel Michel and Sofian Bouchichi on his inside.
well, the pace has indeed picked up a little bit. It's back to 250 after 258 and 254.
And they've just gone through 9,000 metres in 25:38:02. So that injection of pace has slimmed down the leading group down to 7 men. Michel leading the way, Amdouni in there as well.
And that runner there being lapped from Ireland, Stephen Scullion as well.
So now just 600 metres to go. Michel really now starting to wind it up. Amdouni in there. Also, Yamani Bahan Kripa, very talented Italian, just 21 years of age. European under-23 5,000 metre champion last year in Bydgoszcz. So it's Michel, Amdouni coming around the outside, Bashir Abdi, Kripa looking around and hanging on in there, Alexander Yee still. No, it's Wonders, the white vest. So they hear the bell. 5 men in contention now for the medals. Wonders starting to drift off the back of that leading group as it's really starting to accelerate. Michel looking very strained, working very hard. The diminutive figure of Bashir Abdi from Belgium coming around the long way, now getting to the front with just under 300 metres to go. They're starting to lap many of the runners draped around this track. Bouchichi now starting to struggle, so too is Kripa. It's Abdi, Michel, Amdouni. Then a short gap back to Yamani Bahan Kripa. But Bashir Abdi doing this the hard way, taking it on from 300 metres out. Now coming into the home straight. But Amdouni really gritting his teeth. Mahmoud Amdouni is working very hard, and it's going to be Amdouni from France that takes the gold medal in the men's 10,000 metres. Bashir Abdi of Belgium, the silver, and Yamani Bahan, an unexpected bronze for Italy. Unofficial time, 28:11:22 for Morhad Amdouni. A fine run, wonderfully gauged there by the Frenchman. Number 2 on this year's European list, rises to number 1 here in Berlin.
56-second last lap there, proved to be the decisive factor.
Pretty useful that last lap. Well, Michel, we know how sharp he is over the shorter distances. Just perhaps finds 10,000 metres a bit too long for him at the moment, but got stuck in and really contested the lead and contributed a lot to this race. As the rest of the finishers come through to the line. Some very tired people indeed, but this man, well, the adrenaline of victory keeping him on his feet. Morhad Amdouni. So I think everybody was pleased with their medals there. Amdouni, of course, with gold. Bashir Abdi training very hard. Has not had the best of seasons. I saw him in action in a Indian race recently on the roads where he really did struggle there. I think that might have been the effects of his altitude training. And Bashir Abdi, I think that's the first time we've seen him, but Berlino makes his return to Berlin.
I was just about to get really excited and couldn't believe that you didn't say anything, because I love Berlino. And just
we all love Berlino. He's possibly the world's greatest mascot with respect to a few of more recent vintage who've made their name.
There's only one Berlino.
Well, there's only one Bashir Abdi and Morhad Amdouni as well. And Yamani Bahan Kripa. So there's a nice shot of the three medalists. There, unfortunately, is the site of Richard Ringer calling it a day. Abdi Machal finishing out of the medals in fourth, but contributed so much to this being a pretty decent paced championship race. Just didn't have the legs at the end, and Yamani Bahan Kripa just coming through, as he did indeed in Bydgoszcz. That was the way he won his European under-23 title 12 months ago as well, with a phenomenal run over the last 100 metres. But no stopping the man at the front, Morhad Amdouni.
Look at that sky. It's absolutely fascinating if we're looking up here as well. And this is what makes this stadium so beautiful as well, the view that we have out of that gap in the far stand behind the start.
So the first French gold medal of these championships.